Moving on, what else have we got to see?
The Rhythm Section, which is a new film by Reed Morano, who became the youngest member of the American Society of Cinematographers and one of only 14 women in that organisation. Won a Directors Guild Award for work on Handmaid's Tale. CV includes Skeleton Twins, Frozen River. This is written by Mark Burnell from his own novel. Blake Lively stars. After a prologue, which is a kind of thriller-style prologue, we meet her as an addict working as a prostitute in London. She's visited by a journalist who says, I know what happened to you. Your whole life fell apart because you lost your family in a plane crash, but the plane crash was not an accident. It was done by somebody who is now out and about in the streets, and I want you to come with me and I want you to show you my evidence. So after some cajoling, he gets her to see the evidence that he has, and she decides to take matters into her own hands, to take her own form of vengeance. But she discovers pretty quickly that doing that becoming, a vengeful assassin is much more difficult than it sounds. And in order to do it, she must receive training from Jude Law's character, who is a kind of, former special services agent who's now dealing with demons of his own. The title, Rhythm Section, refers to the heartbeat and breathing that must be made even in order to achieve the background music to the perfect shot or something. Here's a clip.
Stop. You got to get your breathing sorted. Don't panic. Be calm. Be still. You got to get your rhythm section under control, like in music. Remember? Think of your heart as the drums.
Yeah.
Your breathing as the bass. You get those sorted and you're sorted. Heart as the drums. Your breathing as the bass. Put another one in, never less than 2. Good. It's the easy part.
What's the hard part?
Living with it.
So the thing is, I really, really want this. I want to like this more than I do. Okay, I want to be impressed by it more than I am. I think the problem with it is that it doesn't really make much sense. It's one of those things that doesn't kind of really hang together very well. And the main reason for it is that it's a strange mismatch of ideas. On the one hand, there's a kind of serious story going on in the background, which is to do with, a character whose life has fallen apart, attempting to take back control of their life and attempting to sort of, to redefine themselves. On the other hand, it's a film which actually kind of has got a sort of James Bond narrative to it. So there's a kind of, sort of like a thriller assassin narrative to it. And what happens is it never quite decides which of those two things it's going to be. And as a result of it, it never actually manages to be either, which is a real shame because there are some good things in it. I mean, I think, for example, that Blake Lively is a very interesting, actor. I think she's done some really, really good stuff. I think she's, very, very talented. I think that Reed Morano, who was, as I said, she was a director of photography on Skeleton Twins, and whose directorial CV is kind of really interesting because it includes doing Handmaid's Tale, for which she won awards. She directed 3 episodes of that. She directed Meadowlands beforehand, and before that, she was, a sort of very, very well-respected cinematographer. And yet somehow the film doesn't feel like it has a definite direction. It feels like it's kind of half La Nikita, or La Femme Nikita, as it was called in America, or it's a bit like Red Sparrow or Atomic Blonde, to which it's been compared, but with wanting to have its feet on the floor. So it ends up kind of being really frustrating. Now, if you were going to be sort of completely sympathetic about it, you'd say, well, the thing that works is that she plays an assassin who really isn't a very good assassin. And that's the point. That's the thing that makes her character relatable, because she isn't, somebody who turns himself into a killing machine. And in fact, if you were, somebody who suddenly found yourself in this position, you wouldn't immediately turn into an efficient killing machine. But on the other hand, if the film is falling into these kind of James Bond tropes, then how exactly does it work that she's not very good at it? And the worst thing about it is that in the end, I just didn't believe in the characters at all. So you have this, as I said, very talented cinematographer, Frozen River, and, done all this sort of great work. And now helming a big action thriller with a very, very fine star in it. And I confess, I went in thinking there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff in this. And I came out thinking that is a real disappointment. And it's a shame because I wish it wasn't, but it is just a mishmash. It's pulling in so many different directions. It doesn't feel like it has a single direction to it. And that's the problem.